dry weather in recent months may be putting a damper on some of Brazil's other exports. I spoke to Paulo Sotero, director of the Brazil Institute at the Woodrow Wilson International Center. I asked him about the impact of the drought and what that's having on crops and the economy overall.
Well, remains to be seen. It seems to be severe, affecting not only agriculture, but affecting also some cities like the city of São Paulo. The important thing to remember here is that agriculture is the area of the Brazilian economy that has done exceptionally well. Brazil is a very productive country in agriculture at the gate of any farm. So bad news in terms of drought would take agriculture, take away some of that productivity and complicating a macroeconomic scenario that is already pretty daring, pretty complicated for next year.
And one of them is when you have a drought, that affects the crops. So if you have less crops, there's less supply, which means potentially higher prices. And that's a problem for inflation, obviously.
And also, if you have less drought and you have less, the yieldings go down, you have less of a production and you export less. So to close the external accounts in Brazil also becomes more complicated with an agriculture that is producing at the top of its capacity.
In your opinion, the current administration there, are they doing enough to offset the weakness in that sector? I mean, we're really having a conversation about macro growth in the entire country.
Growth in Brazil is slowing down. It could be stagnant right now. Projections are that the economy will grow at 1.5%, which is much less than the 2.3% of last year, less even the average of the current period of 4 years. So I believe that this will be a major issue in Brazil in 2015.
This softness in the economy, as we are discussing, how has that impacted energy production, such as oil?
Well, it is impacting energy production in the sense that the government, in order to keep inflation at bay, has delayed increasing gasoline, diesel prices, therefore cutting revenues from Petrobras, the state company that is in charge of making those huge investments to develop the pre-salt oil in Brazil. So the economy in general is suffering from this slowdown, less revenue income that also affect the capacity of the government to give incentives to this or that sector. This has been a strategy of the Dilma Rousseff government, but there is a limit to that precisely because of the overall behavior of the economy has not been satisfactory.
Are you happy with the Rousseff government?
Not at this point. I think the President Rousseff I think she is not happy with her own government because she has not achieved what she has sought to achieve in terms of economic growth. She has repeated every year that this year we are going to grow at 4%. A variety of reasons prevented that from happening. The government says they are mostly external to Brazil. Critics would say no, there was mismanagement in certain parts of the economy. There is a major issue of credibility at this point. And this, even members of the President Rousseff's government will admit that. I think this will be a major topic of discussion during the upcoming presidential elections debate.